Hello and welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. I have a great guest today. She's done so many amazing things, such a badass female entrepreneur. And you guys know I don't like to fool around a little bit at the beginning, so we're just going to jump right in. Simone Knego is an international speaker, award-winning author of The Extraordinary Unordinary You, and co-host of the top-ranked podcast, Her Unshakable Confidence. A two-time TEDx speaker, her work has appeared on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Entrepreneur Magazine. As a creator of the Real Method, she helps high achievers build unshakable confidence by transforming self-doubt into strength. Simone is a proud mom of 6, wife of 32 years, and Mount Kilimanjaro summiter. Please welcome Simone to Deals with Heels.
Thank you so
Yay!
much. I'm
The crowd
excited to
goes
be here.
wild. So happy to have you on the show. I always start with give you an opportunity, let the guest have an opportunity to tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. You've done so many wonderful things. Tell us how you got there.
So I started off as a CPA. I actually was going to be a doctor, but then I failed organic chemistry. I took it again and got a D in it. So there went medical school, and I was good at math. I actually wanted to be an actress, but I was good at math. So my dad said, accounting it is. Okay, there we go. So I passed my CPA exam, got both a bachelor's and master's, and did not like anything about it. So I've done many things in my life. I started a horse farm, started a summer camp. I went back to school to be a teacher. And at that point, I had 6 kids. So I was paying my teacher more than I made. And then I went into medical sales. And that's actually when I started doing a bunch of volunteer work, which is where I figured out I actually had a story to tell. So I started speaking as a volunteer and then created a business out of it. So I'm a keynote speaker. I've written my second book now. I have the podcast with my daughter. So I do coaching. Never expected my life to take this turn, but that's what I love about it.
That is amazing and fantastic because all of that experience gives you something no one else has. And it's not often you can be talking to your coach and know that have their master's degree in accounting and can answer any of those questions probably too. And so I think it's fantastic. And I have to ask about Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, first of all, you had to have some pretty big ovaries to even suggest that this is what I want to do. Tell us how that came to be.
So a friend of ours actually had asked my husband if he was interested in doing it. And of course, the way I like to tell the story is he said, 1, 2, 3, no, thank you. Call Simone. He was like, that is not how the story went. I was like, well, it sounds good to me. But it wasn't a bucket list item. It was more of I'm really stuck right now and get out of my comfort zone. Like that's what I really needed. I mean, that was way out of my comfort zone, but it was life-changing for me. It really helped me change the way I saw myself and, move forward onto so many different things. I didn't know anybody on the team. There were 16 of us. I basically met them when I got to Tanzania, and including my tent mate. I didn't know I was going to have a tent mate until I got there, but she was fantastic, and we are still good friends today. So, but it was a life-changing experience for me. Again, I wasn't a climber, but I set the goal and I put in the work and I accomplished it. And I think a lot of times we are so afraid of doing something new, right? We say, oh, maybe I'll try something in the future. I was just on another podcast and they were saying, they had a guest that said, don't use the word try, use do. Like, I'm going to do it instead of I'm going to try. And I was like, I think that's a really good suggestion.
It's the Yoda thing. There is no try.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The
There
whole
is no
thing.
try.
So how much training? I mean, like how long did you
Mm.
have to train to be able to do it? Were you already like in pretty good shape or did you have a long?
I was in decent shape, I would say. I did back then go to the gym, but I had 6 months and it's a whole different ballgame. So I would get on the treadmill at the max elevation. I would wear this elevation training mask, which I picked the gorilla face because I thought that'll be fun to wear. And basically you have these little plugs that get into the side of the mask that it kind of mimics the amount of air you're breathing in at those levels. So it's basically like breathing through a straw. It doesn't account for the elevation change that happens, right? Because there's a chemical change that happens in your blood when you go up that high. And so it didn't, obviously, it doesn't do that, but it helped me build lung capacity. And I basically worked out, did something every day of the week. And I felt I was definitely in the best shape of my life at that point. It worked. It worked.
You did it. I mean, what a big confidence boost that had to have given you to be able to say 6 months is nothing to train for something so major. So that was, I mean, it's impressive.
Thanks. Yeah. For me, it was really about taking action. So I can't say what I would feel like if I didn't make it to the summit, but the idea that I put myself out there, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is losing that fear of doing something new, right? We're so
Hmm.
afraid to put ourselves out there that we miss so many opportunities in life because, oh my gosh, what if I fail? And that opportunity for me really, again, changed everything.
I think that's fantastic. And I only talked about one of your books, but you have a new one out. In your introduction, I talked about the Extraordinary, Unordinary You, which I love. And
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about how you came about that book, but let's talk about your new book too. Is it available?
So it launches February 17th. So it's available for
Oh,
pre order. But my first book I wrote in 2020. Yes, The Extraordinary, Unordinary You. Follow your own path, discover your own journey. And that one's all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. He said, I have 6 kids. We adopted our youngest 3 kids. So some of their adoption stories are in there. And then Kilimanjaro's in there, and just life things, right? The things that we do every day in life make such a difference. And I really talk about the little things, because a lot of times we think that we have to have this huge moment for things to matter. And it's not true. It's the little choices that we make every day, how we interact with our neighbor, how we interact with strangers, that can really be life changing for us. So that book is focused on that. And the new book is all about the research I've done and the work I've done with women around building confidence. And so this one's called Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. So February 17th, which I'm really excited about.
it's
And
coming up.
I know
So
it's coming up.
exciting.
I know it's like fast. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost here. And that one, it took me a while to write this one, a lot longer to write this one than the first one. First of all, the first one I wrote during COVID. So
You were
I
like a
was home.
captive.
I had nothing else to do. So might as well write crazy stories about my children, right?
I started painting during COVID. And it changed my life. Honestly, it did. I'm a very creative person, but I was way too busy taking math to take anything frivolous like art. And
Mm.
so I didn't develop any visual. I mean, I knew what I liked, and I've always been a big art lover. Spent a couple of decades running marketing departments. I know how I like things, but don't draw. I don't do any of those things. And I had this great desire during the shutdown to paint my daughter's face, my oldest daughter. I don't know why I thought I could
Wow.
even do it, right? I mean,
That's
if
pretty cool, though.
you can't even, but I really wanted to. And I found this picture of her, and I had been to this pop art exhibit in Oklahoma City with Liechtenstein and Andy Warhol and all the cool colors. And I had been playing with some like photography editing. And so I found this photograph I liked, and I did like a little photo treatment, and then I painted her face exactly like the photograph. But
Wow.
I couldn't paint any of the rest of it. I couldn't do her hair. I couldn't do a background. So it's just been wonderful to be able to paint and figure things out and learn. And so being captive during COVID helped a lot of us. But now I make all my own ads. I'm much more visually, artistically able to do my own work in ways that I couldn't do for my entire marketing career. Very frustrating part of that job was explaining to an artist, a graphic designer, what I wanted the ad to look like
Mm.
or the post, and explaining it again, and then explaining why your phone number needs to be on it back in the day and all the things. So I eliminated that, and it was so empowering. So anyway, I had to be off on that Sometimes getting locked up and not being able to do anything spending time alone can really stimulate a lot of great creativity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were baking bread. My daughter learned, well, I think she learned a little bit later, but around that time started learning how to crochet. So we did all kinds of things that we never would have done if we weren't in that situation. So for me, the writing was a big piece of it. And it was actually, all the kids were home. So it was actually great because it reminded me of stories that I hadn't thought about in a while. I'm like, oh, let's put that story in there. That's a good one. And,
I
really,
love
yeah, it really kind of made me see it differently.
Well, I love your podcast and that you do it with your daughter. I have 2 daughters. I have 5 kids that I raised. My youngest really was his legal guardian, and he was 16 when I got him, and 2 of the others are my biological, and the others were step that I raised from a very, very young age. But my oldest daughter, I would love to have a podcast with her, but I will tell you, she's a doctor, and she is not down for being on anything. She hasn't come into her own yet in that she's in her residency, but
She's
she's
crazy
quite
busy then.
oh, yeah, and has my only grandchild, my granddaughter, Theodora, that we call Teddy,
Oh,
and they're gonna be here this coming week. I'm really excited, and I have 2 more grandbabies on the way. So and I can say it out loud now.
that's so exciting.
It really is, and I love that they were involved in helping you pick stories. They remember so many things differently than we do.
Yeah. And, I love having a podcast with my daughter because, I mean, 1 out of 6 of them will talk to me on a podcast, right? So I actually feel like that's pretty good.
That is pretty dang good. None of
Yeah.
mine are on here, and I got 5.
Yeah. Actually, my oldest daughter came on one episode with us and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I hated that. How do you guys like that? You have to think way too quick and it's very stressful." And I was like, "It's not stressful. It's fun. It's like just having a conversation." She goes, "There is nothing fun about that." And I was like, "Okay, that's why you don't do it with us."
That's right, that's right. I we started Christina and I started the podcast just because we had found our voice, and we
Mm,
wanted to help other women find theirs and just do it and say all the things, right? And now I'm so far into it and I love it so much. I didn't realize how much I would really have fun and enjoy it. So it's a big deal. And to
yeah.
be able to do that with your daughter, and you guys look alike. I saw on your website,
Yeah.
when you guys go to her website, you'll be looking and you'll go, okay, which is the mom and which is the daughter, because they look so good together.
Yeah, she's great, and we recorded an episode yesterday that comes out tomorrow. So what we do is we alternate. We have a guest one week, and the next week it's the two of us. And she was diagnosed with Crohn's when she was 16. Actually, her story's in the book because it was right during that period that. So she was diagnosed in November of 2019, and then March 2020
Oh.
everything shut down. So she missed a bunch of school when she was first diagnosed, and then everything shut down. It was great. So she wrote about having being diagnosed with Crohn's and seeing things differently through rose-colored glasses, right? And it's crazy to think back that that's been 5 years. So we recorded an episode yesterday about having Crohn's and, just to really lay it all out there. This is what happens and this is what I struggle with, and the amount of time we spent on the phone with the insurance company and the cost of the meds and what people don't know about it, right? Because you have ideas about what things are and what things aren't. So it was a really good episode, and I think it was really good for her to like really share what she struggles with.
I'll link to that episode so that everybody that's listening that's going, I want to listen to that,
Yeah,
will be able to,
thank you.
because such a big deal. And she's so young to be diagnosed. It had to have
Mm,
been very scary. So I bet she has lots of great insight because young people, first of all, yeah, it's scary, but they live changes every day,
mm,
right? From you get a new teacher, a new friend, you have a test, you have all these changes. It's adults when we're older that are so resistant to change. So she probably has great insight into how she worked through it all in ways that adults didn't think about.
yeah, definitely. And I feel that that's the other thing when we do this podcast because I'm 53, she's 22. And so when we talk about things, a lot of times we agree, but there are times where we see things completely differently. Actually, I was trying to tell one story yesterday when we were recording about the fact that it was kind of a bad parenting moment because when you have 6 kids and someone says they don't feel good, you have a stomach ache, you're just nervous about a test, right? We ignored it for long enough that she started losing substantial amount of weight, and so I was like, "Okay, this is a bad parenting moment," and she said, "You know what? Let me tell the story because it's my story." I was like, "Okay, I'll get out of the way."
And that's good. It
Yeah.
is a terrible when you do have that many kids, it's hard. I can remember having my daughter when she didn't feel good and she was really young and I was in corporate America. It was she had to hop like a bunny. All
Mm,
right, well, let's hop like a bunny in here
mm,
and get to the and if she could hop like a bunny, she felt good. It was the 90s, y'all. It was a long time ago. My
yeah.
daughter is 32 this week. So,
We're all just
um,
doing the best we can,
that's
right?
exactly right. It is, you know, I recently have had some conversations with some young people that are kind of struggling with their parents. And I said, it's a hard thing when you realize your parents are just people
Mm,
and you
yeah.
see them like that. And it's hard. It's an adjustment for you to realize that they aren't super, they're just people just like you doing the best that they can. So if you're struggling with your parents out there, grant them a little bit of grace because they're just doing the best that they can with life, same as you. So it's hard. I remember those days.
Yeah, so
I'm
true.
59, so we're really close, Gen
Yeah,
X.
yeah. So true.
Tell us about, I'm really interested in your real method. And I say it like that because it's an acronym, correct?
It is.
Yes.
So and it's really what the book is based on. So
The new book?
the new book.
Okay.
So
Okay.
real confidence is the real method. And so real stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And the reason I started with respect yourself, okay, I like the word real, but still, because I think that we need to be real, right? We not real REEL like social media, but like we need to be ourselves. And but when we see everything on social media and everybody has this picture perfect life, it's really hard to be able to move forward. So, respect yourself was so important to me because I remember as a child being taught to respect my elders, my peers, right? I mean, everything across the board, grandparents, but never once do I remember being taught that the most important person to respect is myself. And
Amen to that.
yeah,
I don't think girls are taught that really. More so now, but back then, not so much. Maybe not
yeah.
boys either, but I don't remember that either.
Yeah. And actually, I was on a podcast with someone the other day and I was talking about the real method. And she said, "You know what? I have little kids and I don't talk to them about that. I'm going to start talking to them about that. That's really important."
And I think
So,
demonstrating respect, being respectful to them about what their choices
mm,
are. I always tried to honor their voice in the sense of, this is what you want to do. Are you sure? Right. And kind of respect them in that way. But it's really easy to fall back into not.
yeah. I mean, what you just said is so important because people are like, oh, I'm going to demand respect. No, demonstrate it. Show people what it looks like that when you respect yourself, you set boundaries, you say no to the things that don't serve you instead of people running all over you. So as soon as you start saying no, that leaves room for the yeses that you really want. Boundaries are so important, but we tend not to have them because we're so afraid of hurting someone else's feelings or being judged about something. Set the boundaries, like really make sure that you are a priority in your life.
And when everybody is mad at you because you're not fixing everything for them
Mm,
because you set that boundary, that's okay. I lived it, girl, last year. Like, people I love, I had to set that boundary, and then I mean, it's insane how mad they are that you're not doing everything for them anymore.
they're so used to I used to call myself the yes girl. So people were so used to having me say yes to everything. Yes, I'll bring the donuts to school. Yes, I'll pick up your kid. I got a full minivan and I'm still picking up other people's kids. And it was a very hard thing the first time I said, No, thank you. Thank you, but I'm going to pass on that." And I think there's a way to do it where you just don't feel guilty. You just have to say, "Thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm going to politely pass because I don't have room in my wheelhouse for that right now. And it's not something that's going to work in my life right now." But we don't do that.
No, and I tell you, I can do it now better than I
Hmm.
could, but I still get a little feeling in there of Deborah 1.0 that would have said, I can't handle that they feel bad.
Mm.
And I'm going to go fix that. And Deborah 2.0 talks herself back from that cliff. And now it's less and less and less frequently that I have to say, it's okay. You're not responsible for them. And frankly, most of the people that I stopped doing that for faded back out of my immediate circle because they were in there because I was making things so great for them. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's respect. Then embrace your failures. That's another piece that obviously we think of when we fail at something that we're a failure, and that's not true. It just shows you what didn't work, right? And if we're not failing, it means we're not trying. We're not putting ourselves forward. We're not getting uncomfortable. And it's important to get uncomfortable. It's actually probably more uncomfortable to stay right where you are if you're not happy. So it's so important that we are willing to put ourselves out there and do new things. And if we fail,
Learn.
yeah, you learn from the failure. You learn from what happened. And you don't just stop and say, oh, well, I'm never going to do that again. You say, okay, what did I learn? How can I move forward better next time?
I
But
mean,
that's
if
not
you
what
say,
society teaches us, you know?
no, it isn't. It isn't. And it's important. I say I do sales coaching. So for me, it's rejoice in the
Mm,
rejection, rejoice in it
I love
because
that.
that's not for you. Move on. Rejoice that you got it this soon and you didn't find out a month from now after wasting that much time. Rejoice in it, let it go and move on.
Yeah, I really like that. I think about when I've applied for different roles and I haven't been accepted. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. It just meant that I wasn't the right person for the job, and maybe at the time. There's no
And that's not your path, man. The universe might have been
yeah,
saving you from 5 years of wasted time doing the same thing. For me, I always try to look at it as a direction, a nudge. It's hard to get rid of they don't want me,
mhm.
all of those feelings, but I try to embrace it and say, okay, I'm not meant for that. I'm meant for something else. I'm going to move on.
Yeah, and the other thing is as I've really built my confidence, when someone else gets a role that I have applied for or something else that I've tried for and didn't get, I celebrate them because they deserve it, right? And we don't do that enough either. We tend to blame other people when we don't get something instead of saying, you know what, good job, like amazing, and figure
Get
out what's
some of it
next for
on me.
us.
Just
Yeah.
rub it right here, Simone, so I can have a little bit of it too, right? I love that, especially as women. We are so hard on one another. Men don't have to be mean to us. We're mean to each other. We
And
we
we're mean
have
to ourselves.
we are. We definitely are. And yes, there's systemic reasons why we're in this position we're in, but we don't have to be. And so I love that. We need to be better to each other.
For sure. I think the next part is one of the hardest is ask yourself what you want. So as women, we're so used to doing everything for everybody, being the yes girl and never taking that step back and saying, what do I really want for me? And it doesn't have to be like my overall grand plan in terms of, okay, well, I hate my job. This is what I want to do. Let me move forward. Just think about the little things every day that we do based on our relationship with someone else. I was thinking back about there was a movie called Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts. And in it, she basically, whatever guy she dated, she ate her eggs the same way he did. So by the end of the movie, she didn't know how she liked her eggs, right? And her whole life, she didn't know how she liked her eggs. So she had to do really this deep dive self exploration of making all different kinds of eggs to see what she actually wanted for herself instead of just taking on what everybody else was doing. And I think it's a great example. It's a funny example, but it's a
It's a
great
great
example,
example,
right?
real
Like,
life.
yeah, how do you like your eggs? You should have an answer for that. Maybe the answer is, I hate eggs. Great. But you should understand, how do you like certain things instead of just doing what you think everybody else wants you to?
Boy, that's a good one. It's a tough thing to sit down and decide what do I want to
Hmm.
do? What do I really like to do? And I'm sure you have great exercises to help people figure that out when they're your coaching clients.
Yeah. It's really, I like to say, look back to when you were a kid, the one that wanted to be the astronaut, the doctor, whatever it was that you wanted to be. I mean, that person's still in there, but we've kind of let life take over and We've stopped asking the questions. We've stopped believing that it's capable. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that if you want to make a change, you have to believe that it's capable. And so the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk about ourselves, often I see that we talk to ourselves in a way that we would never talk to our best friend, right? If our best friend talked to us like the way we talk to ourselves, they would not be our best friend. So often we have this toxic relationship with ourselves that it's very hard to even take that first step, take that first question to say, you know, what is something that you've always wanted to try, always wanted to do? I mean, your painting is a great example of it, right? You felt like
Mhm.
there was something missing there. So you went after it instead of saying, oh, I'm just a crappy painter. That'll never happen. You don't know until you actually do the work.
This is true, and I, for some reason, thought that I could do it. I wanted to do it. It was
Hmm.
just, I want to do this. I think I could look at it. I don't know. I had no classes or skills, but in my heart, so I really think that if you can think of yourself doing it and see yourself doing it, then you've probably already done it in another timeline somewhere. That it's important that the fact that you're even considering and thinking about, I might want to, means that you're capable of doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of times we hear the phrase, fake it until you make it. I really like to say it until you become it. So you keep telling yourself what you're capable of and you'll be capable of it. I mean, I'm not going to go be an astronaut tomorrow, but if there's something that you have always wanted to try, whether it's painting or running and don't say that it's for someone else because it can be for you too, but you have to put in the work to do it. So it's a,
Right. I mean, you may not be able to be an astronaut, but you could fly. You could
right.
be a pilot.
Yeah.
Right? There's all that's probably more about as a kid, you don't think about space and what it
Right.
actually is when you're a kid. So there's all kinds of things that you can work with by reaching back into your childhood and what you thought you wanted to do.
Hmm.
I think I was confused back then too, honestly. Well, I mean, I was such a smart kid and did a lot of math and science, but I just didn't fit in those groups of people. I'm much more charismatic than that and creative, and just is hard to find your way through all of that, I think.
Yeah, I would say that middle school and high school, they were really tough times for me, especially high school. I actually left high school a year early. I went early admission to Auburn for my first year of college, and I just didn't fit in. Like it wasn't the space for me. And I had some friends and I had a horse, so I had a lot of my friends through horseback riding.
I love
But
horses.
yeah, me
I
too.
really do.
Mm.
All right, let's get to the
Yeah. L.
L.
Live without limits. So, we limit ourselves every day. We tell ourselves what we're not capable of, right? You're not enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough, right? Like we don't need to do that, right? Which is such a crazy part for me. One of the things I used to do was I used to use the word just to describe myself. So I'm just a stay at home mom. I'm just a volunteer. I'm just Rob's wife and justifying my existence, which is crazy. So many people do that. And if you start listening and you hear people say, well, yes, they're justifying. They're justifying.
Mhm.
And the way we describe ourselves, one day I was getting ready for an event and was not happy with what I was seeing in the mirror. Had gained weight, my clothes weren't fitting. And so my daughter walks in and I'm literally telling myself horrible things as I look at myself in the mirror.
We've all been there.
And my daughter walks in and she says, first of all, you're beautiful. Second of all, you need to stop. You're giving me a complex. How do you expect me to love my body when you don't even like your own? And that was such a big aha moment for me
Ooh, I got a little
because,
chill from that.
right? Yeah, it was such a big aha moment for me because I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't realize that what I was saying to myself was affecting the people around me as well. And that was kind of like, okay, take a step back. Look at what you're doing. You are giving your daughter a complex by thinking that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not skinny enough. So it's really about living without limits. Like, stop limiting ourselves. We're capable of whatever we want to do. We have to keep saying it to ourselves. We have to change the way we see ourselves.
Yes. I do mindset coaching and sales mindset coaching, and really your mindset is the thought data the things you say that you tell yourselves, the stories you tell yourself over and over again. You have to break that in
Mm.
order to look at life even differently. And you have to consciously do it. You have to make yourself consciously accept it and say those things. And, I don't remember the episode. It was one of our early episodes with Christina, and she was talking about, she does a lot of positive mantras
Mm.
and talking positively to herself. And she decided, and she listens to them too. And then she also listens to them when she sleeps, which would keep me awake, but that's what she does. And she said, I thought, I'm going to record my stuff that I tell myself in the morning, and then I'll listen to it at night, and it'll be my own voice and it will really reinforce it. She said, so I recorded my normal positive mantra session that I have with myself in the morning. And when I played it back, I was shocked at how mean I was being to
Oh,
myself.
wow.
That she said I was thinking I was encouraging myself and
Mm.
being positive, but when I played it back, it had such a negative tone. I didn't even realize it because I was so conditioned in the phrases that I would use and the words and the tone. So I couldn't believe that either. And, it's amazing even if you're not going to play it back for the reasons that she was doing it, just talk to yourself and play it back and hear what you say to yourself. And it's shocking how hard we are on ourselves. And I think that's why we're easily hard on other women, because we're hard on ourselves. I can
Mm.
be hard on her too. It just doesn't have to be. That was when you talk. I thought of her story when you were talking about how we talk to ourselves. And even if we think we're being good, we might not be. It's always good to check in and see. She'd been doing it for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And turns
Oh, that's
out,
so interesting. Yeah, no, you really have to. I mean, the words you say matter, right? I mean, that's what they matter when you talk to other people, when you're that's why gossip is always horrible. Like you're
right.
saying mean things about other people. Don't say mean things about yourself ever, right? I mean, I did it for
Yeah,
years. It didn't get me anywhere. And really positive affirmations, I do them every morning. And they're true positive affirmations where it is the tone of voice too, right? If you just say to yourself, I can do it. I mean, that's not motivating. Like
no,
motivate yourself to truly believe it. If we can say mean things to ourselves all day long and believe it, we can do the opposite. We can say great things to ourselves all day long and believe it. And there's tons of science behind it.
there really is. There really, really is a ton of science behind all of that. I think what you're doing is fantastic. I can't wait for your new book to come out. I think your real method is very understandable and easy to work through and hits all of the points that are really important in changing and building confidence, especially for women. It's not that
Mm,
men can't use it, but they get stroked their confidence their whole damn lives, not
yeah.
just by us, but by each other, high fiving and chest bumping and the whole bit. So I think all of that is absolutely fantastic and great things that you are doing and inspiring others to do.
Thank you so much.
Gosh, we're already out of time. What a great conversation. I swear, I think we could just keep talking forever.
Yep.
You have such great things to offer, not just my audience, but everyone. Tell us a little bit about how we can get in touch with you and find out, buy your book, listen to your podcast, which is everywhere, but
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. So the best way to find me is my website, SimoneKnego.com. You can send me a message there. You can find me all over social media. And my book, the new book, you can find it at realconfidencebook.com. If you go to that website, you can buy it on any of your any favorite retailer online. You can pre-order it. And then when you go in, you can put in your order number and get my pre-order bonuses, which I have the first couple chapters of the book so you can start reading right away. And then also um I have a reverse interview with my daughter, which was really fun to do. So she was asking all the questions about the book and why I wrote it. So
Oh,
there's
that's
a few things on there to get
fantastic.
you started. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. We will link to all of Simone's stuff in the show notes. And what's your preferred platform for people to contact you on? Are you LinkedIn or?
Yeah, LinkedIn would be the best.
Okay, great. And I think I followed you on LinkedIn. I'll be sure and put a link in for that as well. Check out her podcast. She has episodes going all the time. I listened to a little bit of one before I had her on the show, and I'm really excited to reach out and listen to even more. I love that mother-daughter relationship. It's very unique in being able to do that with her. So I hope everyone will check that out. Thank you so much, Simone, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And before we sign off, give us your top 2 tips for finding confidence.
I would say the first thing is talk to yourself like you would your best friend. And you don't need to change who you are. You need to change the way you see yourself.
Perfection. We can't end on anything better than that, you
Mm.
guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this episode, please leave us a review, like, share, tell your friends. And until next week, we're out.